Well, folks, here it is. It's the final Karl video ever. I will never make another Karl video as long as I live. Maybe. If he does something nuts, if he does something super funny and super nuts, maybe I'll make a Karl video, but probably not. Okay? And I'm gonna prove that because at the end of this, right around his I Lost video came out, I woke up and filmed a 9-minute video in the dark, in the perfect dark, and I basically say, Karl, I'm sorry. Karl, I wish you the best. And so I'm gonna put that video at the end, Karl Jobst style. I'm gonna hide my retraction, my walking back of everything I've said about him. I'm gonna hide it at the very end, in the last 8% of my very long video. But here it is, the final KJ vid. It's part 2 of Approacher Now. I read Karl's story, and it's a good time. I watched it back. Not as good as I remember it, to be honest. I'm mostly just attacking his grammar, but there's some doozies in there. There's a real haymaker right at the end, right towards the end. I won't get into it, but the word consent does get thrown around. So that was my favorite part watching it back. Just making sure it was ready for consumption. But yeah, here's me reading Karl's story from Approacher Now. It is what it is. My hand accidentally hit the space bar there and ended the recording. Anyway, this video, it is what it is. Enjoy it. You know. But then I'm done. And then I got my apology to Karl at the end. And that's it. No more uploads about Karl. Hopefully this channel will go back to GoldenEye videos. I've been playing some GoldenEye. I've been playing a little Depot Agent. So hopefully we'll get a 23 soon and we can go back to posting GoldenEye runs. Wouldn't that be nice on the Samo Elite channel? But yeah, check out the Samo Sammy channel. That's where I'll post future content of this nature, I believe. I'm going to pivot over to there. You know, there is some goofy, silly stuff that's been on that channel for a long time. So check it out if you really want to. None of it's particularly good. If you're looking for more goofy silliness related to GoldenEye, check out the playlists on this channel. There's the highly curated content. That's some of the more produced videos, and I don't know, I think there's some other playlists. Should be see some of the Samo luxury stuff. I don't know, whatever, who cares? This sucks. I want to make more videos, but I got no topic. So guys, give me a topic. Hey, if you hate some dickhead that has an online presence, let me know. I want to go in clean. I want to go in, raw, knowing nothing. So if you have some dickhead that's in your community that you hate and you want me to destroy some dickhead, let me know. Leave a comment. Who should I take down? With facts and logic? Let me know, because it's fun, but I'm done talking about Karl. I forgot to upload the second part because I don't care anymore. So yeah, but this was fun. Anyway, here's the video. Goodbye. I'll probably never upload ever again. One thing I forgot to mention. This Saturday is Frigot Day, which is a big community event. My personal favorite community event in the Elite It's Frigate Day. Every year, I like to play Frigate for 24 hours. I've done it every year, except for last year, where I only made like 14 before I got so angry I crashed out and quit. So aside from that, though, I've done 24 hours every year. It's always a lot of fun. It's always a great time. So this Saturday, midnight, heading into Saturday the 10th, US Eastern. That's when it begins. It'll be 2 p.m. On Saturday in Australia Eastern. But that's when it will begin. The 24-hour stream. We're going to play Frigate, mostly SA, probably do some side leagues too. But yes, I did want to announce that Frigate Day is this Saturday at twitch.tv/SamoSammy. Come check it out. Come hang out. Come say hello. You know, if you want to talk about any of my videos, we can talk about it live during Frigate Day. So, Frigate Day this Saturday the 10th of May. Check it out. See you there, folks. All right, here's the vid. Okay, I'm back. Now, I'm obviously just recording this 4 seconds after I recorded the intro, but hey, wasn't that fun going through approachingnow.com? I didn't rewatch the video, so if I don't perfectly remember the context, I apologize. But anyway, it's story time. It's story time, because we're going to read Karl's story. This is what he opens the book with. Actually, no, he opens it with, there's a sort of like preface why you're reading this book, which this is on the website. I'm pretty sure we read that. Then there's, of course, a link to the online coaching, copyright, and disclaimer, which I actually read. I actually read the copyright and disclaimer. I don't know if he wrote this himself or this is some boilerplate. I almost couldn't think of that word. If this is just some boilerplate copyright he copied from somewhere, but it's like, you know, it's informational purposes only, you know. Every effort's been made to present accurate and up-to-date information, but it is apparent technology's rapidly changed. That's a sentence in this thing here, which seems like odd. It seems too human of a statement to make. So maybe he wrote it himself, I don't know. And it ends with, you know, readers' results will vary based on their skill level and individual perception of the contents herein, and thus no guarantees, monetarily or otherwise, can be made accurately. Therefore, no guarantees are made. I mean, monetarily? What am I going to start pimping these ladies I'm approaching? Or my Andrew Tate? Anyway, then we get the table of contents. Which really just is the website, but with the articles sprinkled throughout. And then we get chapter 1, fundamental ideas and beliefs, and then the cold hard truth, which is, I think, what we also read on the website. But anyway, I'm just going to read one. I mean, we could read all these articles, and I'm going to read this whole book, because it is fascinating. You know, and I just want to say that, like, the underlying advice, there is nothing wrong with the underlying advice. It is the presentation, it is the purpose, and it is the sort of like origin story of this document that is embarrassing and funny. It's not the advice itself. The advice itself of, if you have anxiety, use exposure therapy to reduce your anxiety so you can do the things you want. There's nothing wrong with that at all. It's fundamentally good advice, but the presentation is hilarious because it's taken the exact form, the platonic ideal almost of a pickup artistry grift. You know, so is Karl some secret genius infiltrating pickup artistry circles so he can deconstruct them from the inside by by changing the face of pickup artistry and making it about clean, good, honest advice? Or is he just trying to make cash? You be the judge. I'll let you decide. All right. It's time to hear Karl's story. Now, I've only skimmed this, but it's a doozy. It's a doozy, folks. I actually don't know. There are some hot points. Anyway, hi. That's sentence 1. Hi. My name is Karl Jobst. I will skip you the boring details of most of my life. It started off about 8 years ago. I want to make fun of that because it's like, I'm going to skip the boring details. And then he goes, 8 years ago? That's huge. And then I remembered that I did record a 4.5-hour podcast just talking about my GoldenEye career, which was like 4 years ago. Anyway, so I'm certainly guilty of being overly verbose. You just watched it an hour. You're an hour in. I'll skip the boring details of my life and start off about 8 years ago when I first became passionate about learning to be a more attractive man. It sounds a little, doesn't it? Anyway, you see, I was terrible with women. Karl, you surprised me. At the time, and quite simply, I was not a happy person in general. What? You surprised me, Mr. Jobst. I was sick and tired of being lonely and feeling so weak around the women I found attractive. You know, I find almost all women attractive that I know, like, personally. If I've met a woman in real life, if I like actually did the statistics of women I have like had conversations with, it's probably like 85% of women that I have had a conversation with that's like within my sort of age range I find attractive. And I've felt a lot of things around them. I've never felt weak though. And I think this sort of like thing, like I think I need this more than anyone else. I've never approached a woman. I would never do such a heinous act. Anyway, I don't know, weak. I felt weak around them. I need to feel strong around the women. I need to feel strong around them. I need to feel strong around the women. Yeah, I don't know if I'd use a weak, strong sort of spectrum to describe like my feelings around women that I am attracted to. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. I decided to do what any tech-savvy young male would do seeking answers. I went online. We're about 4% of the way through this story. I found a few pretty average websites offering tips of what cologne to wear. JeremyFragrance.com. But nothing much of any real substance. I then got my hands on a seminar by one of the biggest names in the industry. So here's where the like argument that this is just good, clean, solid advice falls apart a bit. Because he goes on to he's about to glaze a bunch of famous pickup artists, I believe. In fact, I didn't even look him up. Let's look him up. Let's do a little searching. Let's do a little Googling. We get one of these 4,000 tabs I got open. Alright. I got my hands on one of the biggest names in the industry, David D'Angelo. Have I seen this guy before? Second link, what happened to David D'Angelo? Oh my god. Bro. Bro, look at this guy. Oh my god. Dude, I have to show you this. Hold on, I don't have it set up. I gotta pause the recording, but I have to show you this. I have to show you what I'm looking at. This is crazy. Okay, this is what I'm saying. Look at this, man. First of all, look at this man. Second of all, look at this, man. Red text, white background, black shirt. What did I say? What did I goddamn say, man? This is crazy. This is insanity. This is insanity, man. I mean, look at this. Bro, this is the dude. This is David D'Angelo. The king. The absolute goat. The absolute dead set goat, folks. It's the goat. It's the goat. It's the PUA goat, folks. But anyway, yes. So Karl puts himself in the same industry as this guy. And this is like way cheaper than I was expecting. I was expecting like someone who actually like was like big, like was selling out arenas, you know, and would have things that didn't look like they were made in 30 seconds in MS Paint. But that's what it all looks like. That's what these PDFs look like. I get it was 2014, so things looked a little different. But they didn't look this shitty, man. Am I crazy? Web design, digital design had gone beyond this in 2014, man. I guess, you know, when Karl found him, this was 8 years ago, so this would have been in 2006. I guess this is sort of 2006 looking shit. But he's just done nothing in 20 years? He's done nothing for 20 years. 22 most essential David D'Angelo dating articles from 2008. I guess he really has done nothing for 20 years. He became the biggest name in the industry, and then he fucked off. And then he got his cash, and he ran. I was blown away. I'm back to Karl's story. We might return to to this. But back to Karl's story. I was blown away. The concepts and ideas he was describing were so different to the beliefs I currently held. I became aware of just how little I know about women. I'm a little surprised. Well, no, I'm not really. I really wish he would expound on why I keep going out of focus. No, on what his beliefs were and how they contrasted with the beliefs of the biggest name in the industry, David D'Angelo. Sorry, I'm reading ahead. I'm sorry, I'll stop doing that. I was hooked. I scoured the internet and got every single product I could get my hands on. I watched seminars, read books, and listened to audio CDs from all of the top gurus in the business. You know, if you see the word guru and you're not in New Delhi, something has gone horribly wrong. Something has gone horribly wrong. All the top gurus in the business. From guys like David D, we're shortening it. We got to shorten it because we're going to use his name so much. We got to shorten it. So David D, unless it's a different guy, I'm going to assume I'm not even going to look it up. I'm going to assume David D is David D'Angelo. His name starts with D. Not just the letter D, but it starts with D, D-E. So it makes sense. And Lance Mason to guys like Mystery. Mystery? What kind of a fucking name is that for your fucking pickup artistry grift? And Tyler Durden from Fight Club. Does he mean the character? Does he mean the character Tyler Durden from Fight Club? Or is there a guy out there going by the name Tyler Durden that he's talking about? And I don't know how I'll find that out. I guess we'll go back to DuckDuckGo, but this is insane. What an insane list of names. Lance Mason. That's such a pickup artistry name for a guy to have. It's guys like Mystery and Tyler Durden. I gotta look it up. We're going back to DuckDuckGo. I'm sorry. We're going back to DuckDuckGo. Hold on. Here we go. We're back on DuckDuckGo. We have to know. Does he mean the guy from Fight Club? Does he mean the guy from Fight Club? Is this who he is talking about? I started reading seminars and audio CDs from Tyler Durden, and it changed my life. It changed my life. Oh my god, it is a guy called Tyler Durden. It is a pickup artist. Pickup artist of the future. I'm the chef of the future. Man, this is so 2006. It's painful. This picture was taken when a student asked the guys to point out which one of them was really gay. Smiley face with an equals sign. You never see the equals sign smiley face anymore. So Tyler Durden is an incredible pickup artist. Look at this guy, man. Look at this dude. Why do they all look like this? Why do they all look like this, man? Why do they all look insane? Oh my god. This is crazy. So I'm really surprised. Is it a coincidence that his name's Tyler Durden? Did he steal it from Fight Club? You know, because these days you'll have dudes on like Twitter, and they're an anonymous account. They'll have a profile picture of Tyler. I think this is literally a real account that exists. They'll have a profile picture of Tyler Durden. Their screen name will be Tyler Durden, and they'll pretend to be Tyler Durden. But they won't pretend. They're not pretending they are Tyler Durden. Really, they're themselves. But that's sort of just how they're presenting themselves on Twitter or whatever. That's very common these days. And so if you told me that in 2025, oh yes, I was listening to Tyler Durden, I would think, oh, that's some fucking Twitter fuckhead, whatever. But reading this from 2014 and knowing that he's talking about 2006, it's shocking. It's astonishing. It's astonishing. We're in paragraph 4, by the way, of his story. We're only just getting started. Let's look up these other dudes. Karl? You can pick up advice from this guy? from a judge? Who killed his wife? Dude. I like how all these names, if you look up any of these names, except for David D, I think if you search David D, you might get a porn star. I know there's Danny D. Anyway. you look up any of these, you get something totally different. You look up Tyler Durden, you get Fight Club. You look up Lance Mason, you get some judge that killed his wife. And if you Google the word mystery, you're gonna get Wiktionary. This is insane. I gotta look it up. We gotta go deeper. We gotta go deeper. Here we go. Here he is. This is the guy. This is crazy. It's crazy how Karl just like copied this exactly. Like really, all he learned from all those, you know, all that scouring the internet he did, All he learned was how to make a pickup artistry grift. That's all he learned. Ladies, men aren't born. They're made. I like how even if you said you pickup artist, you still get four pictures of disgraced judge Lance Mason who killed his ex-wife. Okay, let's go mystery. PUA. Dude, are you fucking kidding me? Fuck mystery method. That was old tech, bro. That was old tech. And as we know from the disclaimer, technologies rapidly change, okay? Technologies rapidly change. That is old tech. Fuck the mystery method, man. It's evil and it sucks. It's shit. Bro, look at this guy. Look at this fucking guy. The PUA community leaders. These are the top boys. These are the top boys of 2023. And you'll see the mystery has remained relevant for 20 years. Mystery's remained relevant for 20 goddamn years. But really, it's Owen Cook. Owen Cook. You know, RSD Tyler. Is that Tyler Durden? Oh my god, it is. Oh my god, that is Tyler Durden. Oh my god. That's the same guy. That's the same guy. It's just 20 years later, so he doesn't have the long hair anymore, and he's grown a big beard. But that is Tyler Durden. What? What? This is insane. This is crazy, man. This is absolutely nuts. I'm like, my mind is blown here. My mind is actually blown that these guys are still the top guys. Forget Lance Mason. Lance Mason is dead, alright? Well, the most famous Lance Mason is, I believe, in prison for life for killing his wife. But the other Lance Mason, forget that guy. Forget that guy. Although that guy seemed to most closely resemble what Karl has produced here with Approacho Now. Anyway, Mystery and Tyler Durden, here they are. Best pickup artists of 2023 according to GameGlobal.net. You know. And they beat out Neil Strauss, who I've actually heard of. This is incredible stuff. Incredible moves in the PUA community. I did not expect this to be a 20-minute breakdown into the PUA community, but here they are. And then I don't know what this means. We got RSD Tyler. I don't know what that means. Then we got formerly RSD Julian. So maybe these guys used to work together on RSD.com. Rapesexydudes.com. I don't know what RSD stands for. I can't really think of a real one. I can think of an obviously fake one. Relationships, sex, and dating. I bet it's relationshipsexanddating.com or what, or the program or whatever. And they used to work together. And, you know, it was started by the great Tyler Durden. Owen Cook is his real name. So he just stole the name. So he kind of was doing that Twitter screen name thing, but way back in the day. Anyway, Owen Cook. Look at this old fuck. Look at this decrepit fuck. Look at this decrepit fuck. Anyway, I don't know who Russ Jeffries is. But anyway, formerly RSD Julian. So Julian Blanc. You know. Julian Blanc's like the most normal looking one. And he left. He left RSD. Big drama. Big drama in the PUA community. Anyway, those are our leaders. These are our leaders. Still relevant. Number 2 spot on the PUA rankings. Extremely high-res photo of James Frigot. This shit is so pathetic, man. I will be alone for the rest of my life, probably. And it will be a life better spent than watching a mystery seminar. Anyway. Oh, I studied back to Karl's story. I studied the works of dozens of coaches over the next few years. I spent thousands of hours, in all caps, thousands of hours, studying everything I could on dating advice. I wanted to get the success they told me was possible, and I believed I could achieve it. There was one slight problem, though. One problem. There was one problem, guys. Guys, there was one problem. We'd done thousands of hours of research. There was one problem. There's one problem. I couldn't approach. Well, that's it, folks. That's it. It's over. It's over, folks. It's over, folks. Thousands of hours of studying and training down the drain. Because I couldn't approach. I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it, man. I just couldn't do it, man. I couldn't approach. I couldn't approach, man. I am back on the cans, by the way. The big Coke No Sugar development is that I got sick of. So back in the day, let me tell you my story. Let me tell you my Coke No Sugar story. Back in the day when I lived at home, I used to just keep the cans in my room, and I'd go get a cup of ice and pour the Coke into the ice, and it was delicious and refreshing. You know, you lose a little of the carbonation in the pouring process. I fill the glass with ice to get maximum surface area, and so you lose a lot of the carbonation, which makes it easier to drink. It makes it even more hydrating because you also, you drink, because I would eat the ice after, so you get like half a cup of like water along the actual Coke itself, which is like 99% water. So it's even more hydrating, which is good. And that was just how I did things. Then when I moved in here, and I got a whole fridge to myself to fill with whatever fancies, wherever I fancy. I used to just have a Coke shelf where I'd buy a 30-pack and I'd just put the whole fucking thing in, and it would cover the whole shelf. And they'd be like off the edge of the shelf a little bit. So I did that for a couple of years. Then I started freezing ice cubes. Now, I promise there is no point to this story. Skip ahead 60 seconds and I'll probably still be telling it. But this video is like 8 hours long already. What's another 4 minutes for me to tell a Coke No Sugar story? It's important. People want to know. People want to know the update, okay? But, so I started using ice trays. I bought a couple of ice trays when I moved in. And so I started actually filling them and then, like, using them, right? And that was good. That was pretty good for a while. But then the ice trays broke. They got cracks in them, and so you could still make ice, but you'd end up with a lot of the cubes would be, like, half full because it had been leaking out, and you end up with a layer of ice on the bottom of the freezer. And it was very annoying. I was constantly refilling. It would be like, because I would use almost a whole tray. It's like a tray of like 14 or 16 or something, and I'd use 10 cubes to fill my cup, my famous blue cup, which is right here. That was good, but then it cracked and it's making a mess in my freezer. So what I've been doing the last few months is I've just been buying ice, like at the petrol station. But you can actually get it at the supermarket. At least my nearest one you can. And so I've just been buying it's way more expensive. Like you'll go to a petrol station to be like 1 for $4, you get 3 for 10 or something. They have these big crazy deals. But I can only really fit one in the freezer, so but it's $5. So I just do that, and I'd use that ice. I'd use the Bell's ice. It's the brand name of the ice. But yesterday I said fuck it, and I just threw the cans back in the fridge, and I'm back on straight from the can. So, cheers. Anyway, that was my story. Back to Karl's story. I couldn't approach. There's one, guys. Do we remember the one problem on the other side of that 45-minute Coke story? Do we remember the problem? That's right. I couldn't approach. I was too scared. This next sentence might be the craziest thing I've ever read in my life. I went out hundreds of times, always with the intention of approaching women, but I just couldn't. That is so insane. I would do it once. Now, I have not done this, but if I had been watching my David D tapes and my mystery tapes, and then I said, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go approach, I'm going to go pick up a woman. And I went out, and I was too scared to do it. I would immediately give up forever. I would go, this was the most embarrassing and pathetic thing I've ever done. I am such a fucking loser. This was so stupid. And I'd go home, and I'd get Streets Agent 111. Or something, I don't know. And I move on with my life, you know, because the way to get women, again, total incel here, total schizo incel here. So tell me if I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, let me know. If you've watched the mystery tapes and you know that I'm wrong, and what I'm saying is stupid, and for suckers, then let me know. But I think the way you get women is by let me put this in like Stefan Molyneux terms. We all have a sexual market value, you know. He's a big free market guy. Well, everything is a market. Everything on the planet is a market, with things competing, and everyone is trying to maximize their value. Now, what the value is going to change depending on what the market is. You know, it's not necessarily monetary. So everything is a market, and everything within that market, every object, every part of that market has like a value. And to be more specific to like dating, there's the sexual market value, right? You'll hear about this. I bet pickup artists, dudes, talk like this. I don't know, maybe I'll be branded a pickup artist for my belief that the sexual market value model of dating is a useful one. Because I think it is. I think the way you get women is by increasing your sexual market value. I think learning pickup artistry techniques might help you, like, deceive women about your true sexual market value. That's my intuition on it. Again, I haven't done thousands of hours of studying everything to know for sure. But, so I think like the way if you can't get any women, I think what you just need to do is you need to increase your sexual market value, and the way to do that is to Be a Better Man by Robbie Williams. And the way you be a better man is you don't obsessively think about women all day. They don't like that. Newsflash, they don't like that. They don't like you wallowing in your loserdom all day, every day, thinking about how you get no pussy, okay? Unlike me. Like, you just like, be like, you need to be healthy, you need to be happy, so you need to not, your happiness needs to be derived from something other than women. You need to be healthy, you need to be happy, and you need to have a good job. You know, unfortunately, there is sort of a less mystical and wholesome one. You do need to have a decent job. And if you have those three things, then just you know, just you'll encounter women throughout your life, at work or whatever. And, you know, if you form some sort of a connection with them, and I don't mean like sparks or chemistry, I mean like literally you have some connection with them such that they are an element of your life, no matter how small that element may be. Then just ask them out. Hey, how you wanna? It don't even matter how you ask them out. It doesn't matter how you ask them out. You can stumble over it. You can be a big fucking loser about it. You know, it won't matter I think if you have a high enough sexual market value, it won't matter how you do it. You know, again, just my theories from reading the literature. I haven't put any of this into practice because I'm not healthy, happy, and I don't have a good job. So I got to do those three things first. Then I'll start approaching her now. Anyway. So yeah, I think the concept that underlies this whole book is like flawed, because nowhere in my model of how to get a girlfriend does it involve talking to 10,000 strange women. Oh, God. Good Lord. I did not intend to make this a 2-hour video, by the way. I really didn't, but I have. Anyway. I might have to not put... I was gonna put this video with the approachnow.com stuff. I think it just has to be a 2-parter. We're 36 minutes in. I'm still on the first fucking page. We're still on the first fucking page of this thing. This has to be a 2-parter. I'm sorry, it's gonna be a 2-parter. I was gonna call this Hateful Twerp 3.2. I think it now has to be Hateful Twerp 3.2.1 and 3.2.2. I gotta start doing version control on my Approacher Now videos. I would study for countless hours, but I could never get the confidence to put it into practice. This wasn't for a lack of desire either. I wanted it more than anything. See, that's bad. That's bad. There's your problem. I wanted it more than anything. There's your problem. That was your problem. Your problem wasn't that you had approach anxiety. Your problem was that you wanted it more than anything. You wanted it more than anything. You need to read the Stoics. I mean, I guess in the grand scheme of things, like, yeah. It is like the normal, that is the sort of normal default position to want a romantic relationship more than anything. But is that what he's saying here? It kind of comes off like he's saying he wants to pick up artist more than anything. Anyway, whatever. That's mostly fine. Any man willing to spend as many hours as I did studying women has proven that they have sufficient desire. We didn't believe him. We didn't believe him that he actually wanted this. We didn't believe him that he really wanted it. The reason he couldn't approach, he didn't want it. That's what we all thought. We all thought he didn't want it enough, and that's why he couldn't approach. He went out 100 times. Hundreds. He went out 200 times minimum. And didn't speak to a single woman. Sounds like paradise, am I right, fellas? But we didn't believe him. We thought, no. The reason he couldn't approach was he didn't want it. He didn't want to approach. That's what we all thought. But Karl dismisses that fiction. He dispels with that fiction like Marco Rubio and says, and proves empirically that he did have the desire. He did want to do it. Because any man willing to spend as many hours as he did studying has proven, without a shadow of a doubt, they have sufficient desire. So thank God Karl had the proofs. Karl had the receipts. Karl had the receipts to prove. He really wanted this. Anyway, we made it off page 1. Page and a half to go. We're 40% of the way through, folks. We're getting there. We're getting there. I studied the works of dating coaches, pickup artists, and relationship experts for 6 years. So we went back to 2006, and now he spent 6 years watching tapes, listening to audiobooks. 6 years. Now it's 2012. I just got to look at something. Now, 2012, that was the year I graduated high school. And so the entirety of my secondary school education, while I was doing that, while I was going through years 7 to 12, while I was going through the incredible journey of my teens, the journey of a lifetime, you know, I mean, like, whether it was great or whether it was hell, you know, secondary school, that is the journey of a lifetime. That is like just sit back and reminisce for a little bit about what high school was like, what secondary school was like, all those years. Whew. Such a dense experience. So many new things, so many changes. What an incredible period of all of our lives. While I was doing that, Karl was watching the tapes. Karl was watching the tapes between 2006 and 2012. Karl was watching the tapes. But that's no, I just wanted to look up. So Karl was watching the tapes. So here's what happened. Here's what happened, folks. Let me break it down for you. So on December 4th, 2002... No, sorry, what am I talking about? On the 18th of January, on the 7th of Jan, 2007... Karl got Cavan's Agent 103 as a world record. Not on untied, just a world record. And then he put down the controller. And he picked up the tapes. And he started studying the tapes. He had no time for Goldeneye because he's studying the tapes. For 6 years, he's studying the tapes. Dating coaches, pickup artists, relationship experts. I'm watching the tapes. I'm listening to audiobooks, watching the seminars. I'm doing the whole thing. I'm watching it all. I'm doing this. I'm doing the research. Thousands of hours. And he still could not go out and approach women. So then he gave up, and he came back and he got Bunker 1 Agent 17 as a world record, and then Damn Agent 53 as a world record. And if you look at his PR history, which is where I'm looking at right now, that's exactly what happened. So the 6 years that he's studying the dating coach stuff, He also quit GoldenEye. He was not playing GoldenEye at the time. Was he playing Perfect Dark? I really hope there's also a gap. I really hope he wasn't playing any of them. Alright, he wasn't. He wasn't. Good. My narrative works. So, he quit. He put down the controller. Legendary speedrunner Karl Jobst puts down the controller and he picks up the tapes. And he's studying for 6 years. Just studying. Doing nothing else, apparently. Not playing GoldenEye. I was going through secondary school during this exact period. And so I guess we get to 2012 and he's done 6 years of research and hasn't spoken to a single woman. Sounds a lot like what I was doing in those 6 years. I spoke to maybe 3 women. Maybe that's being generous. Spoke to maybe 3 women in my entire secondary school period. I guess that's 3 more than Karl did in those same years though. So I'm up. I could still not go out and approach women. It was for this reason that even though I knew almost everything there was to know about picking up women, he knew it all. He's an expert, guys. Thousands of hours. He could do it like that. He's cracked the code. Any woman he wants, like that, she'll come home with him. If he could just approach. Sex time. Time to fuck. I knew almost everything there was to know about picking up women. I was still getting no results. I couldn't actually use any of the information I kept inside of my brain. It's like a weird way to word that. Reminds me of a Robbie Fulks lyric. I've kept less than half of what I've pushed in to my poor, unwilling brain. It's a good line. I kept seeking answers from the gurus, but they never seemed to help. What? Say what? They were able to give me motivation, which helped me to never lose faith. Never lose faith. Always have true faith. Perhaps your faith could be even truer than that. But that just wasn't enough to overcome my fears. I then had a realization that changed everything. 6 years in, we have this realization. Karl, come on, man. 6 years. 6 years to have this realization. And then it was a slow realization. Over the course of several weeks, my entire perspective changed. I'm just picturing him sitting on a chair in an empty room, just thinking. And it took this long for the cogs to spin and for this to come, this absolute gemerald to be produced. Everything became crystal clear, and the solution to my problem became obvious. I had an idea. I went out, I tested it, and it worked. We're getting to the good stuff. We're out of this horrible mire of hell of the first page of the absolute bleak, dismal picture it painted. And now it worked. I could now approach. Just like that. I created a system based on my new awareness, and I used it to solve my own problem. So he didn't solve the problem and invent the system to model how he solved the problem. No, he invented the system to solve the problem. Bravo, Jobst. Bravo. In several months, I'd gone from someone who was not approaching at all to someone who was able to go out every weekend and approach as many women as I liked. I guess hundreds of times. So in those 6 years, he went out every weekend. That is bleak, man. That is grim. Every weekend. Oh, man. I've seen him out there. Not him, but I've seen dudes out there. You've seen him out there, right? If you spend any time at all in bars, you've seen them. You've seen those sad dudes. They're there alone. And they're just sort of walking around, trying to join conversations. And it's always very, very sad. I get very sad when I see him. When I see him fail and strike out, as they almost always do. And that was Karl, 6 years. Wandering through bars, talking to no women. And often they don't even drink. Often they're not even there to drink. Often they're like, because that'll dull their senses. Because they're on the hunt, you know. Like, don't get me wrong. Shuffling into a bar and drinking alone, talking to the bartender, that's sad. That is sad. Something I've been thinking about doing lately. But just shuffling around, just being in the room, doing nothing, every weekend for 6 years, that is grim, man. That is grim. This poor guy. This poor fucking guy. And this is the result. This is the result. This book is the result of 6 years of that kind of horrifying social isolation. Manifests in all sorts of ways. This one is particularly gruesome. Rough. You got to feel for him, right? You feel it in your soul. Oh God, when you really visualize what he's saying. Oh, it is bleak. It is bleak. And you know, there but for the grace of God go I guess. I don't know. Is there any scenario where I become this guy? Or is there some innate difference between us that I would never result in this? No matter what. I mean, you know, we're getting too philosophical here. About sort of nature versus nurture. Genetics versus environment. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question, so I can't say. Anyway, now he's able to go out every weekend and approach as many women as he likes. The secret? I realized that all of the gurus in the industry had never dealt with my problem. Come on, Karl. You're telling me Owen Cook? You're telling me Owen Cook never had this problem? I don't even know. But I guess not. I guess Karl would know. Right? Karl would know. I guess. Anyway. From all the pickup experts, I'd heard stories like, when I started out, I went out and approached women every day for a year. Or, I made a decision to become better with women. So I went out and tried everything. He's quoting here. These anecdotes don't sound like the kind of things you would hear from a guy like me who struggled for 6 years to approach. The top experts have never dealt with this problem, and it is for that reason that they will never be able to relate to it. Really? I don't know if I'm buying this. At all, but we'll let him continue. We'll just accept that. I'm not going to challenge it. We'll just accept it. Most pickup or dating advice is great for guys who do not have issues with approaching women. Isn't it almost exclusively for men with issues approaching women? Isn't it almost exclusively for that? Anyway, but it simply does not help men who have too much fear. I realized that my problem was not that I didn't know how to be successful with women. My problem was that I didn't that I did. He goes from using didn't to I did not, and they're directly lined up, so it's very jarring. Look at this. Look at this. I didn't know how, and I did not know. I didn't know, I did not know. If I were proofreading and editing this, I would change that. I don't know. I'm certainly no expert on editing text, on prose. If you are, let me know. Let me know if you would have changed that, because it looks very silly with them lined up right there, flipping between the two. I realized that my problem was not because, like, it's distracting. It distracted me, right? So I don't know, is there some sort of, this is my intuition, that there is some sort of principle with editing that if the form of the text is distracting, that it takes away from reading it, that you take a moment and go, oh, that looks silly. You know, that if the visual form of the text distracts from reading the text, from extracting the meaning out of it, then you should, like, stop that. That's my intuition, that's sort of a tenet of editing, you know. Anyway, I am rambling. I'm going off into the weeds here. Anyway, I realize that my problem is not that I didn't know how to be successful with my women. Also, he's like, the way these sentences, like, you know, there's this thing you do in English where you, like, you use two sentences that are almost the same, you know. And this is what he's doing here, because he starts both sentences off the same. My problem isn't that I'm a loser. My problem is that women suck, right? It's like, you know, both those sentences start off the same and have very similar forms because you're contrasting the two, right? You're saying, no, not this, this. Which makes it even more silly that he's flipping between using didn't and did not. Anyway, I'll get off this. I'll get off talking about this tiny grammatical, it's not even really a grammatical error. It's just sort of like I don't know. I don't like it. I don't like it. If there's any editors watching, please let me know if I'm justified in my great dislike of his flipping between didn't and did not within these two sentences that are very, very closely connected. And they're actually, like, visually lined up. Like, the sentences literally, like, line up. You see, I said I would get off this. I'm not getting off this. I didn't know. I did not know. All the other lines are, like, lined up. That, successful with women, and then next thing, successful. It's like it all lines up perfectly. So it's so goofy. I would not be able to tolerate seeing this on the page, reading it back after writing it. When I read this back, I'd go, this is dog shit. I can't do this. Anyway, I will now get off talking about the did not thing. I realized my problem was not that I didn't know how to be successful with women. My problem was that I did not know how to be successful with my own mind. I did not know how to overcome my own fear and learn to become confident. These issues are not dating or pickup issues. These are psychological issues and require a completely different strategy. Karl, you read my mind. But I think anyone who's reading this sort of stuff just has psychological issues, and they should be engaging in other tactics to address them. Such as therapy. That's one approach. I have not tried that myself. Not sure I recommend it. Certainly one approach. Philosophy, another approach. Introspection. Maybe, could be. critical introspection. Introspection based upon sort of aggressive, like, rationalism. I don't really know how to word that. I don't really know how to word what I mean. Anyway, it doesn't matter. This is a fucking... I've now talked about Approacho now for over 2 hours. This is insane. I have to split this into 2 videos. I did not expect... I thought I was going to read this. It'd take 5 minutes. We'd have a couple laughs. And I would just use it to bookend my breakdown of the website. But this is crazy. And in fact, it might even be worth going through this first. I don't know. No, I'll release in order of production. That makes the most sense. Okay. I shifted away from dating advice and made a decision that I would need to conquer my anxiety first. By the way, we're going to read this whole book, and we're going to do similar analysis on the whole book. And so we're on page 10. We're on page 10 of... Oh, there's a blank piece of paper. There's another blank piece of paper. What am I doing? Page 10 of 57, which is, again, just this repeated. The online coaching thing repeated. Anyway, I'm joking. I am joking. We're almost out of Approacho now. Not to go back, not to talk about philosophy again, but there's a sort of like thing with like philosophy of getting stuck in the Greeks. So can we get out of the Greeks already? You just get stuck talking about the pre-Socratics, and then you go on to Socrates and Plato and Aristotle, and you fucking there all fucking day. You're there talking about the Greeks. Can we get out of the fucking Greeks? I'd like to get into a few Greeks, if you know what I mean. Greek women love me. Anyway, this is neither here nor there. That's neither here nor there. Okay, I shifted away from dating advice. We're so close. We're onto this half page. And then we got Become Your Own Psychologist, which was on the website, I believe. I shifted away from the dating advice and made a decision that I would need to conquer my anxiety first. Well, hallelujah, no shit. In my quest, 6 years to come to this realization. In my quest to overcome my anxiety issues, I began to discover that ideas... A long sentence. In my quest to overcome my anxiety issues, I began to discover that Why is this so hard to read? I don't think there's anything wrong with this sentence. I think I'm just cooked. In my quest to overcome my anxiety issues, I began to discover that ideas that may be good for confident men were actually counterproductive for a guy with low confidence like myself. My strategy had shifted from learning to become better with women to learning to reduce my own levels of anxiety. This is great. He really has turned around. I really have a lot less to criticize here. After an hour and 1 minute. I began to focus less on gaining approval from others, and I started to systematically build my own confidence. Once I made this change, everything started falling into place. In less than 1 year after my life-changing paradigm shift, had to get paradigm shift in there, well done, I had achieved my goals with women after being paralyzed with fear for 6 years. And your entire life, but anyway. My journey had both allowed me to take action and also improved my character. And made me more attractive as a man. It's a little... I'm now in an amazing relationship with the most beautiful woman I have ever met. Though if I choose to meet new women... Oh my... I mean, there's nothing factually incorrect about this statement, but to put this down on paper is insane. I'm glad we got one last laugh out of this because we got like 2 sentences left. I'm now in an amazing relationship with the most beautiful woman I've ever met. Mazel tov to you. Congratulations, Karl. That's fantastic. He cuts into that a little. He cuts into that beautiful sentiment a little bit by saying, "Though if I choose to meet new women, I can do so confidently and easily. Just so you're aware, honey. Honey, just so you know, I can get another woman like that, okay?" I know he didn't mean it like that, but that's just how it comes. That's how it reads. I will now share with you the knowledge that will change you if you apply it to your life. Wow. I just want to keep reading. It's fascinating. It's fascinating. I'm already reading the next thing. I don't know if I talked about this on the website. Before we delve into this topic a little bit, I'd like to first ask you a hypothetical question. Who would you choose for medical advice? A doctor practicing in the year 1900 or a doctor practicing in the year 2014? The answer is pretty clear. It's a good point. Who would you rather watch YouTube content from? A YouTuber that got famous in 2018 or a YouTuber that's exploding off the ground with thousands of views in the year 2025? I'm joking, of course. Anyway. Bro, I might have to read this whole book. Every page I just flick through and I read like 4 words jump out of the page of me and I read the whole sentence. And it comes off hilarious. Approaching a strange woman in the hopes of getting her approval and possibly her consent. Oh, no, that's not what he means. I didn't finish the sentence, but it does read like that. If you read the whole sentence, you can still read it that way. Approaching a strange woman in the hopes of getting her approval and possibly her consent for sex is a daunting and scary concept for most men. You know, it is pretty scary, you know, going up to a strange woman in perhaps, I don't know, let's just pick, for the sake of the visual, let's just pick a location like, I don't know, an alleyway. You know, approaching a strange woman in an alleyway in the hopes of getting her approval and possibly her consent for sex. It's a pretty daunting thing for a man. I know that's not what he meant. But boy does it read that way. See, there's probably nuggets like that in everything. Like, the underlying advice of reduce your anxiety by exposure therapy is fine, is good. But there's probably so many nuggets like that sentence in here that I might have to read this whole thing. But I mean, how many hours am I going to talk about Approacher now? I think you get the idea. I think we've had too much fun. I think we've had a bit too much fun. I think if we keep going, we will get lost in the weeds here. I think I talked about this, killing 2 birds. Not with one stone, which means he's not really talking about the idiom, he's just killing 2 birds. Birds, by the way, another word for women. How to kill 2 women. So you've just raped a woman in an alleyway. Now here's how to kill 2 women. He's actually referencing people, but he's not using... Yeah, I guess I guess it's not quite Harvard referencing or APA style referencing, but he is actually referencing. He puts the title of a book and the year and the authors. I think that's happened once. That's happened once at this point. Alright, let me just... I think we're done. I think we've already looked at the stresses. Remember this? Remember this fake graph that doesn't make any sense? But it has the line that he just fucking made up and made it look like maths when it wasn't maths at all. It has to go in that direction, otherwise the analogy he's kind of using doesn't make any sense. Anyway, we talked about that. Conclusion. Most of the advice given isn't mutually exclusive to improving your dating life either. I think you should just use the word exclusive there. Because he's not talking about two things. He's talking about one thing. And its relation to all things. I don't think he should use the word mutually exclusive here. I should have been his editor. I should have been Karl's editor. If only I'd met Karl 15 years ago. I could have been his approacher now editor, and I could have fixed all these things. But I don't think most of the advice I've given isn't mutually exclusive to improving your dating life either. Wouldn't it just be let's get rid of mutually and see how it reads. Most of the advice I've given isn't exclusive to improving your dating life either. Perfect sentence. Nothing wrong with that sentence. But you need two things to use the word mutually exclusive. Because they're exclusive from each other. I don't think you can use it when you're talking about one thing in relation to everything. I don't know. Look. I just got back from the Hair Splitters convention. I've been watching 12 Angry Men. I've watched it like 5 times in the last week. And there's a point where juror number 7 says, to juror number 8, hey, you ought to go down to that Hair Splitters convention. As he's picking apart the prosecution's case. Anyway. Alright, that's enough. That's enough approacher now. I might keep this on my bedside table for some reading, for some morning laughs when I get out of bed. I need a little pick-me-up. I'll flick to a random page and find a silly, goofy sentence like, most men are afraid to rape women. That's not what it said, but that's how I read it. Okay, that's enough. That's enough. Goodbye. Hope you had fun. Cheers. Cheers. Whew, what a slog. I can't believe I talked about Approacher Now for 8 hours. Hello, you relative legends. I'm going to be sharing a Coke with a legend right now. It's like 1:30 a.m., which doesn't sound particularly late in the grand scheme of things, but certainly of my waking hours. But I just woke up. I just had a big sleep, and I just woke up. I just woke up 10 minutes ago. So I need this. That's good. I'm back to drinking straight from the can. Already said that? Anyway. Time for my final thoughts on Karl and this whole thing. You know, I've been thinking about it, and you know, I made all the videos because I thought it would be funny. I thought it'd be funny to make the videos. Hopefully they were. Hopefully you got some laughs. You know, I felt an urge to sort of to stretch that muscle, of sort of trying to be funny, of having some topic to try and talk about and try and find jokes in. Because that's what I like. That's like what I like doing. And you know, I've done it. I got it out of my system. Um, you know, at the end of the day, just because I had some sort of like awareness of this individual before he became a public figure, it doesn't really change the fact that all I did was really just make some videos making fun of a public figure, just because he might recognize my name, that doesn't, I don't think that necessarily changes it. If I'd made the videos about Billy Mitchell, that wouldn't be a problem. Um, if I made the videos about Donald Trump, would that have been a problem if I made a bunch of videos where I laughed at Donald Trump? No. But anyway, the main thing I wanted to say is that I've done it. Hopefully, it was funny. I felt like I needed to do it. I felt like it needed to be done. But now it's done, and I just want to speak to Karl, the man, because you know, at the end of the day, Karl is my countryman, and Karl is a GoldenEye speedrunner, and Karl is a loser. Literally, he lost a court case. Um, and I think to be a speedrunner, to be a good one, you kind of need to be a loser. Um, for the most part. Um, and sure, there are people that are successful on their speedrunning alone. They find ways to monetize it, or they're huge enough that they can just speedrun and make a living off it. Um, just because society has sort of rearranged itself in a way that allows for this activity of losers. I'm speaking of myself here as well, to make money. That doesn't change it fundamentally. But anyway, these three things about Karl: that he's Australian, he's a GoldenEye speedrunner. I guess he also plays Perfect Dark, but I won't hold that against him. And he's a loser, and he kind of is, you know, speedrunning, losing court cases, being a YouTuber, you know. These three facts make him my brother. He is me. He is my kin. Um, and so this was very funny. It was a very funny thing, um, to me at least, and to many others. But for me personally, I've the joke's sort of over for me. I've laughed about it enough. I'm kind of done. I'm kind of done laughing about it. Um, and I hope for the best for him going forward. Um, I hope he was able to bear the brunt of the crowd mocking him. That could be a very tough thing. And so I hope he learned from this, because he did need to learn something. There was a lesson he did need to learn, and hopefully he did. But I kind of want the best for him. I want him to be okay. I want him to continue to be. I don't want him wiped off the map or anything. I don't think he should be destroyed. I don't think he should have his career ruined or anything. That might not be something we can prevent. But I believe in the redemption of everyone. And I mean everyone. Um, there is nothing that cannot be forgiven in my mind. Um, and so I hope he comes out on the other side of this, um, okay and alive, and maybe a better person, maybe not. But either way, um, I just want the best for him. And so Karl, I'm sorry about the videos. I'm not gonna take them down because I am proud of them. I do like my videos that I made, but I am sorry that I had to make them. And I do wish you the best. And so, those are my final thoughts on Karl Jobst, and some surprising tidbits about speedrunning. I didn't know that they would come out, but yeah, yeah. Okay, that's it. Holy shit, 8 minutes 40. My bad, guys. I thought this would be a 3 minute video. Well, see you later, you relative legends. Boop.